Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, and I'm here with Loic. I'm going to change his outfit out. I have two outfits that I'm not sure. I've been really dying for the weather to get warm enough for me to be able to put this on him. I've had it for a while and I think I might do that one. But I also have had this one that I haven't had a chance to put on him. This is more summery. I think I'll wait for this one. So let's get him changed. I'm trying to do my best to present him in the best light as possible for those of you who admire this kit, and as many angles as possible, but my limited space for recording videos and the fact that I don't have too many areas in the house that have good lighting opportunities, and then my time constraints, all of those in combination make it quite difficult. It's like trying to wait for the planets to align. Everything has to be in perfect condition. The weather, the lighting, the window, the light coming through the window at a particular time of day. And if it's good, it may not necessarily mean it's a time where I'm available to make a video. So yeah, it's a lot of it's a huge production to make videos. So my hat's off to everybody who knows this and understands this. To all the channel creators who take the time to present their works of art with all of their efforts. It truly is appreciated. And especially when I watch when people make videos and they take that extra time or the mindfulness that it involves to present something beautiful. So let's get this off. So this romper, it has Winnie the Pooh on there. You see Winnie and Piglet. So cute. Very cute. And I tried this on Martine as well, and it fits him pretty nicely. I know it's going to look a little bit baggier on him, but it's okay because nothing ever fits babies to perfection. So, and it's a bubble romper, so it's meant to look a little bubbly, right? So I've been obsessing with the silicone dolls and in much discussions with friends regarding silicone dolls and their availability and where to find them. I think where to find them is probably the least obvious thing. I know that Facebook really does have a lot of artists, and then the very popular ones, their dolls are actually a little bit harder to come by. There are some artists though that make their dolls, which for a collection of silicones, 20 I think is kind of a large number in an edition, but it's still, I mean, compared to Reborns, it's really it's a very small edition size. Lillian Breffield, that is, makes really cute, super cute silicone dolls, and she can be found on Facebook, and so can a lot of new to me and up and coming from what I see, with new techniques, newer, softer silicone. And I've just been really out there trying to assess what artists think of the newer, softer, squishier silicone. And the only thing I can do until I can actually hold one is just ask for other people's opinions. So I have been asking around, you know, especially to artists and collectors too, but a lot of my artist friends who have to paint them. And what I was finding out a little bit about the new, I forgot what it's called. It's like a super soft silicone, which is super soft and squishy, and then your dolls wiggle around a lot. I think it really is kind of 50-50. There's some people that don't like their silicone to be that soft and squishy, and there's some people who prefer even EcoFlex 50, which is like the less squishier, older silicone that they were using years ago. Some artists still prefer that, and I was asking why, and a couple artists had told me because, one, the paint stays on the higher the EcoFlex, it stays on better. However, the dolls are not as posable, so you can't really move their arms around. And then I also got some advice from somebody else. They were telling me, you know, well, if you go with a really soft EcoFlex, which at this point, I know they're softer than EcoFlex 20, but if you go with something like that, one, it's a little bit more difficult to dress them, get their hands through things, especially if it's long sleeve, and the legs also, pant legs. But it also, supposedly, somebody was telling me that they didn't feel like the wiggling looked natural enough. So I don't know, I guess it just comes down to your personal preference, like what you like to see. And since I'm so new to this, I'm kind of entering this a little bit blind. I don't know if I'm gonna like super soft, wiggly, jiggly, squishy, marshmallowy silicone. And I also don't know if I'm gonna be frustrated with, you know, EcoFlex 20, which is still really soft and squishy, but there's no possibility for some of them without armatures, the possibility for posing them or moving their arms. Like, I'm accustomed to Reborn dolls, and the moving of the arms, I can have his arms down in a pose. I can put his arms up in a pose. I can put one down and one up. He has a little bit of a bent arm, so, you know, he just seems a little bit more posable in that sense. So there's like lots of pros and cons I've been thinking about. I didn't like compile them and separate them into 2 lists or anything, but those are one of the things. I do like posability. I've also heard arguments for armatures and arguments, you know, against armatures. I've also heard opinions where like what I was bringing up, some people saying, you know, if the silicone is really soft, there almost is no need for the armatures because their silicone is so flexible. You can actually bend their arms, manipulate their arms, not too much where you're gonna, you know, damage the silicone, but manipulate their arms enough to pose it under their chin or pose it behind their heads. Or whereas the harder the silicone, I guess there's less opportunities for them to move their arms, bend their arms, and especially if their arms are not already curled in, or if their arms are straight out, like in front of them, there's less posability opportunities. So I guess it just depends on what you really have to think about it when you're, you know, if you're considering a silicone. What are you in the market for? What are your preferences? And I guess, you know, comparing it to what your preferences are for Reborn dolls, I almost think that my experience with Reborn dolls has not been all that helpful. Then there comes also to trying to be able to find, you know, a doll that you like for a price, a silicone that you like for a price that you like, that, you know, fits your budget, and then it's accessibility. There's availability and there's accessibility, 2 completely different things. Something may be available, but a lot of artists, there's a few artists out there that don't really advertise when they're selling. A lot of their dolls or their silicones or their new silicones that they're coming out with are pretty much already spoken for before they've actually come out with them. It was my understanding that some artists are buying, you know, at least 5 in a 20 edition of a sculptor, silicone sculptures, 5 in a 20 edition of a silicone sculptor's new kit that they're coming out with, and then they're just turning around and selling either the blank kit themselves eventually down the road, or they're painting them, and then, you know, making a profit, which I'm not against anybody making a profit, but it also, you know, I like to be, I mean, I don't mind that, but I like to be more involved in who I choose to paint my doll. So, but there are artists who do sell the blank kits, and they'll sell it straight to collectors, and then the collector can either paint it themselves or they can find somebody to paint the doll for them. And then I've seen situations where the sculptor will only make maybe 10 of that edition, sometimes even less, like 6 or so, and you have to be an artist, and or they won't sell to you, and you have to show them, you know, you have to basically show them a portfolio of the dolls, of the silicone dolls that you've painted, in order to be approved, I guess you would say, approved for purchase, which I don't have a problem with either. It was just an additional thing that I thought I considered kind of, you know, interesting. And I don't blame the sculptors who do that. I guess kind of in a way they want to have their creations represented, you know, as best as possible. So they want to be able to pick and choose which artists are going to be working on their kits. So that was kind of an interesting, a very interesting departure from the way we do the Reborn cells. You know, Reborns are produced usually anywhere between like 150 in editions of 150 to 2,000, and some are just open editions that they just keep making more and more of them. But with the silicones, there's so much more exclusivity, almost like you have to know the secret handshake. But I guess it all comes with paying your dues and spending time in the community and getting to know people and building those networks. If you're serious about collecting, which I am totally serious about collecting the silicones. I am actually having fun in the process of learning all of these new handshakes, so to speak. So I don't know, tell me what you think. Let me know if you've been collecting silicones and you've experienced the same things. Maybe you're buying your silicones on the secondhand market, which I know a lot of people do when they first get into buying silicones. They buy from the secondhand market, sometimes third hand. And I know that is some people's segue into meeting the artist, the original artist, and then having the opportunities to be considered for purchasing the more purchasing within the more selective realm of, you know, of silicones. Also, which, I mean, I knew there was other silicone artists, and beyond, you know, Romy and Claire Taylor. And don't get me wrong, I think if I could own a Romy, I would. Believe me, I would. Or if I wanted to. If there was one for the price that I wanted to own, I totally would jump on that opportunity. And she makes beautiful dolls, and as does Claire Taylor. I love Kelly Girl's Claire Taylor doll. It's the most beautiful Claire Taylor doll I've ever seen. And she's always had a really beautiful collection of silicones. So don't get me wrong, I really love Claire and Romy, but I've also enjoyed this silicone process because I've had the opportunity to learn that, you know, there's a whole world beyond Romy and Claire, and so many up-and-coming artists, so many new techniques, new faces. As far as, I can't really speak too much to the quality yet, but I hope to get there someday, and I'll be, you know, being able to speak on the quality and the differences firsthand. I'm really excited about that, and to be able to bring that to you guys here. But thus far, this is what I've learned, and I'm eager to share that with you. And I really want to know if you're kind of new, or maybe you're not so new. Let me know in the comments how your experience was, how your first experiences were. Was your first silicone doll bought on, you know, the second-hand market, third-hand market? Do you find it difficult to, you know, do you also agree that the accessibility to silicones requires some kind of secret handshake? I hate to put it that way, and I'm not like, you know, jilted by it, or like I kind of understand some of the rationalization behind it, you know, especially like the artists who want to selectively choose who they sell their silicones to, because they want to make sure that the silicones that represent their name are being painted by, you know, capable artists and artists that are, you know, advanced in their technique and their realism technique. So I totally get that. They don't want their dolls, you know, their silicones to be kind of like practice dolls for artists, and so they you know, require for artists to show them their portfolio. I find that fascinating. It's interesting. I don't disagree with it. I don't agree with it, but I don't know. I guess I'm kind of indifferent when it comes to that, because to each his own. However the sculptor wants to decide how their work gets represented, I totally respect that. So that's what I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed seeing little Loic here. I'll show you guys a little close up there because I love his blue eyes. My gorgeous boy. So let me know what you think in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching.